Welcome back to The Line. Al Hurricane, known as the Godfather of New Mexico music, he passed away last Sunday, and there's been an outpouring of sympathy and sadness, actually, as well as tributes to his legacy. In his 60-plus year career, he released more than 30 albums you might not know. He's credited for creating the unique New Mexico sound. Indeed, if you've lived here long enough, you've got like an Al Hurricane sort of story. Maybe not, personally directly, but you can't escape him. He was an amazing guy.
He's like a member of the family.
Exactly.
He's like a member of the family. His extended family is a
Right.
part of all of New Mexico.
That's right.
His friends. It's just the tumbleweeds out on the west side. The old town history.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a great New Mexico story,
Right.
and I think it speaks to like the small town relations and family and great spirit that New Mexico has.
Right.
I'm so glad to have seen him a few times at the legislature where we honored him, and to listen to that tribute concert that was given for him, I think in May.
Right.
Of this year, where Darren Cordova, here's Darren Cordova paying tribute to him. Darren Cordova's also a singer, also the mayor of Taos.
Right,
how interwoven is everything
Good
here?
point.
Politics, music, art,
Sure.
family. It's all of a piece here.
I appreciate you saying that. Absolutely for real. Dan, I say again, if you've lived here for any length of time, you cannot escape the Al Hurricane sort of deal. You'll know about him.
What do you mean the deal? I've got people that I know that have bumped into him walking in the mall.
Right, exactly.
Just walking in the mall. Right. And it's not like he's hard to pick out of a crowd, right?
Right.
He's not like he blends in. Right. Just shopping at Cottonwood Mall. They bumped into him.
Love it.
And, he was the most gracious, took pictures. The thing I always thought about was, I thought that which was a rarity, to be so involved in the desire to make New Mexico better, but to be on the periphery of all the political garbage that goes on in New Mexico.
Good point.
You could see him playing at a function for a Republican, and 5 minutes later be at a function for a Democrat. He just really wanted to make New Mexico better.
Yeah.
He wanted to make New Mexico, he really believed this was his state. He loved the people of the state. He loved them north, south, east, and west. And anytime he got an opportunity to promote New Mexico,
That's right.
or New Mexicans,
That's right.
that guy's done more to help people's careers
Yep.
than most anybody else has. I think it's a true tribute to what a great New Mexican he was.
That's right. That's right. Tom, you think about it, he was an international star. Paraguay, Argentina, Mexico, Spain. It wasn't like he was just city limits of Albuquerque or New Mexico city limits. He was an ambassador for the state all over the world. It's amazing.
He was.
Yeah.
With 30 albums, 60 years of pursuing a passion, it's really quite impressive that it never went to his head. He was always of the people. And
Yeah.
he was always, a friend of mine was sharing a story how her mom was basically, chatting with Al Hurricane while he was restocking the albums at a local Kmart.
I love it.
And
I love
so
it.
it was that kind of feel, and he'll be missed.
Oh, that's something. Alicia, and again, interesting. If you have parents, grandparents, it seems like generationally a lot of people knew about Al Hurricane.
Yeah.
It wasn't like this one slice of life. It's amazing.
And I feel like Al Hurricane provided the soundtrack for many of our lives. I remember as a child, my mom would crank up the radio on Saturday mornings, and she taught me how to dance rancheras and cumbias, and Al Hurricane was the one coming through on the radio. And personally, my brother was Al Hurricane's drummer for 5 years. And so we had a really good relationship with him, following them around the state, going to different performances. And I can tell you that I was much younger then, and I was always so tickled because he knew who I was, he knew my name, I always got a kiss on the cheek.
Love it.
And I had never met someone up to that point who loved people so much, and they loved him right back.
Yeah.
It was like this mutual
radiated,
energy that happened. It was amazing. There was often times where they'd go on break, between sets, and it took longer to round up Al to get back on stage because he loved interacting with the people so much, and he truly was just a kind, genuine human being who just, I feel like New Mexico lost a part of its soul when he died.
Isn't that something that does feel, Dee Dee, like a page is turned for New Mexico in a little bit,
Absolutely.
doesn't it? It really does.
Absolutely, except
Yeah.
he's left a terrific legacy
Yeah.
with his family and with all of the people like Alicia
Yeah.
who knew him and will, I think be carrying on that same.
It's amazing the musical legacy of the family. You mentioned, remember the group Sparks, the young women that were here for years and years, are cousins of his, and there's other
They're his
relations.
nieces,
His
yeah.
nieces, rather. I'm sorry.
And his son
it just
does
really-
a bunch
yeah,
of stuff too, right?
that's right.
Hurricane.
Yes,
That's right.
Oh,
Yeah.
very much so.
That's right.
They all do.
Yeah. How do we honor? What's an appropriate way, you guys, to honor this man? I mean, we can name a stage after him at Civic Plaza. That's kind of cool. But is there something more we should be doing here? Sometimes I feel like our great ones, we sort of
I think he should be.
don't
I think
do it.
I think there's a simple thing that can be done, and I think is we require all kids in the state to take New Mexico history, and I think he should be put into New Mexico history. I think some of the great ones, like Al Hurricane, there should be a chapter in that class that you're learning in 7th and 8th grade about who Al Hurricane was and what the I took New Mexico history, and we'll mention Buddy Holly.
Sure.
When he was in Clovis for 30 seconds. Al Hurricane is a New Mexican, and I think he should be
Yeah.
he should be put in that textbook of New Mexico.
love that idea. Love that idea, Dan. That's all the time we have. We'll see you next week.